Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how I set up my sunflower Dutch door weekly in my bullet journal. If you like bullet journal videos, don't forget to subscribe. I post these every Friday, and don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Okay, here we go. So I started experimenting with Dutch doors, and I really wanted to incorporate this into my July spread. My theme this month is sunflowers, so I wanted that to be the main bit of the Dutch door. The first thing I do is mark out the area that I want to be able to write in. So this is the area not including the flower design. I start by drawing out the flower in pencil. As you'll see later in the video, I actually discovered a much easier way of doing this. So this first one does look quite messy. But what I did is I got the centre point of the Dutch door and drew the centre of the flower and then drew the petals around it. I wanted 2 layers to the sunflower. So I started drawing petals in front of the flower, and that's the bit that you'll see later is just a lot easier to do it the other way around. So the great thing about pencil is that you can just give it a go and then rub out anything that you don't want. So in this I do the main petals, and then once I'm happy with it I just rub out the centres that overlap just so I can see how it looks for the final cut. Once I finish the flower, I go ahead and round off the corners of the Dutch door. I'll then erase the pencil marks so I can go over it in pen without having to do that afterwards. The pen I'm using is a Uni Pen Fine Line in 0.5. I find that if I try to rub out the pencil lines after, it does fade the pen a little bit, so I rub it out before, and you can still see it faint enough to be able to go over it in the pen. So I just go over all of the petals. As you'll see, I'm starting with the front ones this time, and then just putting in the second layer at the back. I do love this month's theme because I think sunflowers are just a really easy flower to draw. I wanted the edges to be straight, so I used a ruler for this bit. I couldn't decide at first whether I wanted to put this line in, but I'm really glad that I did in the end because it just makes it a lot neater and a lot cleaner. I then made sure I got rid of any remaining pencil marks and went ahead and started to colour it in. I changed my mind quite a lot on how I was going to show the centre of the flower, but I started off just dotting it and then I'll colour it in later. I also wasn't sure what colours I wanted to use, so I changed my mind. Originally I was going to do them all one colour, and then I just decided to use the 4 different colours that I'm using for this theme, and I'm really glad I did because I think it looks great. I think it says a lot about my personality in that I originally wanted this to be quite random when I first started using the 4 colours, and instead I just end up doing it as a pattern with 2 different colours on the back, 2 different colours on the front. Even when I'm trying to be random, I still end up doing it in a formation. Although you do see in the second one I did it wrong, so perfect. You don't have to be super neat with this, especially at the tops, because we will be cutting that area out. And I think some of the bleeding in the centre area does give it a little bit more natural look. I'm using a few different pens for this. The pen that I'm using at the moment is the W.H. Smith Wood brush pen. I'm also using a Tombow brush pen and then the Crayola Super Tips. So once I've finished colouring in the sunflower, I then go ahead and cut it out. I use a combination of scissors and also my penknife thing, I don't know what they're called. Just be careful using this step, especially if you're using the knife, because they are very sharp, and I know watching this video back that I actually get quite close to my fingers, so just be aware of that. I did choose to cut round each individual petal, and although it takes a lot more time, I do think it looks a lot better when finished. However, you could just draw a semicircle around the flower and have that as the cutout. You don't have to do it individually. So once I've finished with that one, it's time to go on to the next one. For this, I just drew the line and then I used a light box to be able to trace where the petals were before. You don't have to do this, and you can see when I do the opposite side that you can just use the shape of the petals to get the same design. But I wanted it to be in line with the one behind it. This light box is really cheap. I bought it off Amazon for $12.99 and it's come in really handy. As I've said in videos before, I'm not the best at drawing or lettering, so this comes in really handy when I'm trying to copy a design. You can get this same effect by holding the bullet journal up to a window, but it's a lot harder to do because you've got to hold the bullet journal still as well. So I just find this a lot easier. It's USB compatible, so it just plugs into my laptop. So once you've got the basic shape, just go ahead and do the outline. I like the outline to have a black line as if it's been freshly drawn, so I just do that. I use a sticky note to make sure that I don't go onto the page behind it, as you can see. I think it just looks a lot cleaner if it's got a black outline. I'll then go ahead and start to colour in the flower. As I do this one, you'll see that this is the one that I make a mistake on. And again, I'm not being super neat. Again, I actually think that by having a couple that are the same colour next to each other, it does give it a more randomised look. It does look a bit more natural. So I don't mind how this turned out in the end. I think these colours go great with this theme, but I also think that they've got a fall sort of look or an autumn look over here. So I think you could use this either in summer or in the autumn as well, because the colours go really well. Or you could do a leaf theme with the same colour scheme. So once I've finished colouring in the flowers, I'll just do the dots. This is the bit that I experimented with the most. I tried dots and tried circles and tried squiggly lines. So all of mine look different on this. For the next page, all I did was drew around the shape that I'd created. Because I have quite thick paper, this was quite easy. But if you have thinner paper, you may just need to be that extra bit careful to make sure that you don't draw over the flower that you've already coloured in. So as I mentioned previously, it's not always possible to use the light box, so if you don't have one or if you just don't want to use that, you can just use the trace of the petals and the shape that you've drawn to see. So I just discovered which was the circle lines, which sort of dots they connected to. And then by drawing the smaller front petals, it gave me the same shape. As I was doing it, I wasn't overly fond of some of the shapes of the petals, but by the time it's coloured in, you can't really tell, and I think it still looks okay. So once that's coloured in and finished, and you repeat the process to give 3 double-sided Dutch doors, I just go around and neaten up the edges. Obviously some on the other side needed lining up a little bit, so I just used my scalpel knife to neaten that up. I then used one of the brush pens to write the days of the week. As I've said, my lettering's not the best, but once I go over it with the black fine liner, I think it actually looks okay. Again, I'm using the 5mm fine liner for this, and I'm just going down some of the edges to give it a bit of a brush pen sort of look. So once I've done all the days of the week, I just like to add a border to the main edges of the week. I've used this orange colour, which I think complements the sunflowers quite well. I'm not using a ruler for this, I'm just freehanding it, as I don't think it's really necessary to use a ruler. I then want to create a note section, and this bit goes quite well until I try and do the other side, where you'll see I make a mistake and I just use some Tipp-Ex. I should have really traced where the shape was rather than freehanding it, but it's only one little bit that I'm making her on, so it's fine. So there you go, that's me Tippexing it out. I use Tippex quite a lot. So that's my notes section, and then I've also got a mind dump section just for ideas and thoughts. I then wanted to create a meal plan. I didn't do anything too fancy for the meal plan. I just wanted 3 boxes per day with the weekend grouped into one, as I don't really plan out my weekend meals, just because we've got more time so I can plan them on the day. I just did a bog standard box shape with the yellow borders at the top and down the side. And there's the Tippex again, because apparently I don't know how to spell weekend. It covers up quite well, so you can't really tell. So here I'm just writing breakfast, dinner and tea. I'm sorry, I'm from Yorkshire, that's just what we call it here. For the title I do a reverse type of bubble writing, so I write the words out in the brush pen first and then just go around the outside with the black pen. This is one of my favourite types of fonts just because it's the easiest. And then go ahead and add a few final touches to the weekly. I start by adding the dates to each day, just so I can see what date we're on. And then I also wanted to add a little calendar down in the bottom left corner, so I could always see it. I have to use my phone for this bit because I don't actually know when the month started. I use the yellow for the headers of the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. And then I also use the yellow to highlight which week we're on. You can use a stamp for this bit if you don't like writing out the calendar. Once that's done, I just then add the dates under the meal plan. And then that's it. This is the final look of the weekly spread. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. Give it a big thumbs up if you did. And if you give this a go or you try another sunflower theme, don't forget to tag me in Instagram so I can see. Okay, thanks. Bye.